change is not enough. What do you do? What are we here for? What do you truly want? When change is not enough, what do you do? Let's talk about it, the problems we face. Let's fight hatred, no time to waste. The mind is naked, we can see it without an X-ray. Life is easy if we work together. We're the keepers, we're the people, we're all equal, filled with purpose. The past has pain, it'll drive you, even make you take aim. But together is where we should aim. Together is where we should. What are we here for? What do you truly want? When change is not enough, what do you do?
You're listening to the Be Forever Cool podcast. My name is Rex 45, and we're here talking about motorcycle racing and all that fun stuff. I'm excited because World Superbike just happened this past weekend for the first round. So I think, like my guest tonight, he was probably locked in watching as well, and I know he's eager for his race season to start, like I'm as well. But with no further ado, let's bring in our guest for tonight. Let's welcome Hi Rev Trev to the show. Welcome to the show. Hi Rev Trev. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Rexy. Yeah, I wish I could say I watched all the World Superbike races. I knew you were going to ask that, so I just recapped it and watched the highlights when I was on the Peloton about an hour ago.
Okay.
So I didn't dive fully into that stuff this weekend. It was my daughter's 13th birthday, so obviously I was fully engaged in that. But I knew it. I'm like, he's going to ask me about World Superbike, and I just know that Bugala was out there dominating, and it's still a Ducati fest with some Bimotas out there in the mix, and Gerloff kind of pulling up some top tens. But yeah,
that was pretty impressive. So what that's like for you, balancing? I know I think birthday parties or anything, I still got my phone out a little bit, trying to, have a headphone in kind of halfway. So is that hard for you to detach from motorcycle events or racing and stuff like that when you have like a birthday party or anniversary or anything like that happening?
Yeah, it's not. So for me, motorcycles like my career. It's my hobby. There's no getting away from it. So, even for birthdays and stuff like that, they're not motorcycle themed or anything, but there's always this constant motorcycle. Even in the background, we had Supercross playing.
Okay.
Right? So it's easy to disconnect, but there's always some, tether there at some point for sure.
Okay, yeah, no, I hear that. And I think with the family, they kind of know what you're into, so they all kind of sign up, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. There's no getting around it. It's just the way of life. Even my daughter Kelly, just like I said, just turned 13. She loves dealership shirts. She loves Honda shirts. She finally got my shirt that I have that I didn't even know I have that's out there in the mall at Zoomies and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so she finally got that. Super stoked. She's been looking for that thing forever. So yeah, she's a motorcycle girl, but she's also a soccer player and stuff too. And both my daughters are, but yeah, can't get away from it, man.
It's pretty cool. And as we get into the show, we'll talk about that some more. But like I do with all the guests that come on, I want to just start with, how did you get into riding? For some folks, their parent or someone in their family or maybe a neighbor had a bike and something like that, and they might have jumped on as a kid. For other folks like myself, I was a full-blown adult and had to go purchase my first bike on my own and figure that out. So what was that like for you, man?
Yeah, late bloomer, man. I didn't ride my first motorcycle till I was 18, 19 years old. It was a 98 CBR 600 F3, all red, no graphics on it, anything like that. Thing was awesome. I actually worked at a car dealership up in Northern California, and a Toyota dealership, and they got this thing on trade, and it was just sitting back there in the shop, and it was just the coolest thing ever. Never rode a bike, but I just had to have it, and ended up buying. I think I bought it for like $3,900 or something like that. Whatever they took it in on trade for back then.
Yeah.
And of course, I wad the thing up the first week, looped it out in the mall parking lot, trying to do a wheelie in front of some people and stuff. But
man, that's the worst.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of luck of the draw, really getting into it. Obviously, I've always thought motorcycles were cool, but never really got into it. When I was growing up, I used to be a professional speed skater.
Okay.
So this time of the year, I'm always locked into speed skating with the Winter Olympics and stuff like that. Some of my old teammates are Olympic champions: Chad Hedrick, Derek Para, Casey Boudier, Jennifer Rodriguez, all these Olympic gold medalists, I've skated with and been teammates with those guys in the past. So this is where I kind of like on that. But yeah, man, luck of the draw.
Yeah, so let's talk about speed skating a little bit. I mean, so where did you grow up, and where did you train, and is that like a family? Because we had John Grush on, and he was a downhill, a professional, and then he got into motorcycle racing and stuff like that. And I think like Haley Cox was another downhill skier from the New England area. Now she's racing motorcycles. So like, where did you grow up, and how did you get into it?
Yeah, I grew up in Las Vegas, Nevada, and would just go to the skating rink like any other kid back in the day. And we just go Friday, Saturday nights. And, they break it down, couple skate or hula hoop or whatever. And of course, they have the races. And if you win a race, you get like a free coupon for a free soda at the concession stand. And you got a coupon then to join one free speed skating practice. And then, so I won a race. I don't know. I was probably like 12 or 13 years old. And then just kind of got hooked into it. Didn't even own my own pair of skates or anything. Had rentals, and then just had to invest, and just started from the bottom in that kind of the same spectrum as motorcycle racing. You just kind of start off on the street. There you start off at the rink. Yeah. Win the little local Friday night race. And then you're off and running. So
well, yeah, but then you're training with Olympians and stuff like that. So it's that's pretty impressive as well to just kind of pick it up like that. So did someone kind of notice you, or you were just going pretty much every weekend for 3 days for like a few years, and you just kind of build up over time?
Yeah, I mean, it started off social, right? You want to go hang out with your friends, and I'm 45 years old, so in the 90s. That was where it was at, was going to the skating rink, Crystal Palace on Rancho Boulevard. And heck, we'd even skate there, and we would train and stuff like that. And depending on what the meet was or what we were training for, but there was always, year round, it was twice a week. And if we're training for a regional or national or invitational, it'd be 2 a days, so, but yeah, just kind of started from there. But it's almost the same spectrum as motorcycle racing. You have junior Olympics, what they call it. And it's not even associated with Olympics, but yeah, junior, then senior. And juniors are basically like the yellow plates, and then seniors are the white plates, or the experts. And the same thing, you have your bib or your number that's attached to your hip. And the junior guys, or the novices, had black number plates with white numbers, white font, and the senior guys had white, of course, with black font. So, and just kind of battlefield promoted from that, just up the ranks and skating. Traveled internationally, was on the U.S. team. I've raced in France and Spain, national champion in 94, 95. I was gonna say 20s, but 94, 95, and and I think it's just from like a competitive spirit type thing. I had older brothers and things like that, and just always had to kind of fight my way, and whatever they can do, I can do type deal. And that competitive spirit just kind of came out and just kind of took to it. But yeah, a lot of great skaters, national champions, international champions. They've all been teammates. I've all skated with them, and it's really cool to see. And you look at the skaters now, because this is inline, it's not ice,
right?
It's skating rink. Right. So you look at the skaters now, they all start from inline. Ice. Yeah. And the transition is just fantastic,
That's pretty cool. And then so you bought your first bike, you bought that up after a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
It's I grew up riding BMX. I did a little roller skating, but not in line. I guess I had a rollerblades too, but
yeah,
I'll be dating myself even further back than you. And I remember, I always jack myself up trying to show off in front of somebody.
Yep, that's what happens.
You know what I mean? And so you weren't hurt too bad or anything like that. Did you go get another bike? Did you take some time off? Did you say, okay, I need to go learn how to, ride?
Yeah, well, no, I just fixed the bike, right? I looped out. I had to replace like a stator cover and a clip on and stuff that. The next week I had the thing and back up and running and going at it again. So, and then learning to ride was just trial by fire on the streets.
Okay.
Every Friday and Saturday night in Sacramento, California, we'd go to a Carl's Jr., which out here is like a Hardee's.
Okay.
And it would just be a big meetup. There'd be anywhere from 50 to 250 riders, and some would just hang out and kind of parking lot pimp and just, go to a Jamba Juice or a Starbucks or whatever. And then there'd be like a group of guys that would go riding through the hills of Northern California at night.
Right.
And it was called the Loop. It was Highway 49, 193, 46 up and around. And it was a really fun loop. But yeah, so you have some guys that do that. But yeah, just kind of trial by fire from that. So you would start off the slowest guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, these dudes are out of control, way too fast. You'd be in the back of the pack. You'd pull up at the gas station or whatever the next stop is at. They've already drank their Red Bull, smoked their cigarette, putting their helmet back on. Like, oh, dude, I want a Red Bull too, man.
Right.
So you're kind of almost forced to kind of keep up. So you get a water break too, if you will.
Right. For the next time.
Yeah. And then you're just you start going too fast for the street. Well, reality is you kind of make your way up in that pack.
Right.
And then you're leading the pack, and then you're kind of too fast for the street type deal. And then you get turned on to track day.
Gotcha.
And then you get your butt kicked there too.
Right.
You're the back in the track.
And so for you, how long was that to get to the point where you're like, all right, I'm too fast for the street? And I mean, that's pretty impressive, being a younger person saying, hey, I'm too fast for the street to go on the track. Because I still see some guys that are strictly street only and haven't made that connection yet. So, from 18 to, riding on the street, how did you get introduced to the track and around what time? Was that like 2 years, a year, 3 years?
Probably from about the time I started to when I really got introduced to the track. So there was an interest right away, right? When you're on a sport bike, you instantly kind of get sucked up into the industry from watching motorcycles and watching the races, going to the races and things like that. But again, some of the local fast guys there that are AFM champions and AMA guys too, that used to race, like Corey Call and those guys, they would ride on the street with us. So so we would be out there and here's this local fast guy that's an AMA superbike guy, out there riding with us. And of course he's like, well, come out to the track. And then you go out to the track type deal. But it was maybe 2 years.
Okay.
So I got the bike when I was 18, 19 and was racing AFM in 2001. So yeah.
And AFM is a riding club out in Northern California?
Yeah, California, West Coast. It's like the Weir, if you will.
Okay.
It's the oldest, I think the oldest club racing motorcycle organization in the country. And a ton of people have come out of there from, Steve Rapp, Freddie Spencer, Kevin. A lot of dudes have been coming out. Brendan Kettleson right now is 2-time AFM #1 plate. He's right. He's gonna be riding for Bryce Prince this year in Super Sport. So a ton of dudes come out of AFM.
Yeah, I think the East Coast guys might say the Loudon Classic might be the oldest. I think.
Yeah, maybe race. But
right. But for track days and like school and stuff like that is what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, AFM's is a club racing. It's just like Wera.
Okay, gotcha.
But it's been around for at least 60-something years.
Oh, wow, that's pretty impressive. And did you start like racing right away? Because for me, I didn't do a lot of track days when I first started. I started racing a lot later in life. I was already in my 40s. I bought a bike in 2012, and I started racing in 2013. My buddy, once I bought my street bike, one of my buddies was just like, you got to come to the track. I got a bike for you.
Yeah.
I bought his SV 650 and, went to the track the next year. I only did the track day to get my license on that Friday, did the rookie race and as long as you didn't crash, I got my license and I did that and so I got my license and raced for about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years after that before I did the track day. And so I realized I probably should have done a lot more sooner. So was it like more track days for you right away, or did you start racing?
Yeah, just maybe a handful of track days and then right into racing, because that was almost like what the culture was up there.
Right.
And I was riding like nonstop. There was one point, because I was just a young 20-year-old kid. My motorcycle was my only mode of transportation. So I was even racing that. And it was so easy to swap out body work back then. It wasn't complicated like it was now. Even putting a slip-on exhaust, it was a bolt-on exhaust. It was 3 bolts on a 954 and a 929, So I would literally go riding on the street, do that Carl's Jr. ride on a Friday, Saturday night, and then swap my body work overnight and then go race at Sears Point or Sonoma or Thunder Hill, in those places up in Northern California on a Sunday.
Wow. Man, that's pretty cool. I hear that I see videos of folks in the UK and stuff like that, and they ride their street bike with their gear to the track and do a track day and stuff like that. But it's more, which is pretty cool. I find it hard here because I'm like, I still got to figure out a way to bring a chair. It's like,
right.
I just can't just show up and ride. What was it was like back then for you? Packing up and going to the track. Was it just as simple as loading into the back of a pickup, where you were like, all pimped out already?
No, as simple as loading it up and putting it in the back of a pickup and barely setting up an easy up, maybe just bumming off of somebody else's easy up and stuff like that. I'd even run DOT, tires, race tires, of course, but not full-blown slicks or anything like that, because I would get a brand new set of tires on Sunday to go racing.
Yeah.
And then I would ride them on the street all month until the next race, and then buy another set of tires for, that race weekend.
Yeah. Wow.
So I was a DOT race tire guy forever,
And so were you hooked right away? Did you, I don't know how many rounds they had, but were you like going to a couple of rounds, or like automatic, you were just like I'm going to all the rounds for the year?
Yeah, I was doing all the rounds back then. I was in contention. I was leading the I was leading open superbike and open production class in 2001, and won the first 3 or 4 rounds, and then high-sided myself to the moon at Thunder Hill and separated my shoulder and stuff, and that was the end of my championship. So, but yeah, it was. I was doing the whole series back then, but then then I just, from that, I transitioned just to almost strictly track days, because I just have more fun, because I can go riding with my buddies. You can kind of goof off. You don't have to go 10 tenths all the time,
right?
It's more relaxed. You're not doing a bunch of sitting around and waiting. It doesn't matter. Even in Moto America, man, it's a bunch of hurry up and wait. So where track day, you're on every 40 minutes. So.
That's true. And so at what point, how long did you race for before you started racing in Moto America, or even racing in other series? So, I mean, how long were you just out in California, and then when you start driving out of state?
Yeah. So I work for American Honda. So I was working at a dealership level back then and doing some racing. Again, once I separated my shoulder, I was kind of done with AFM at that point. Racing's taxing, whether it's mentally or financially, physically. Racing's super taxing, and I lost a little bit of joy with it. But I was doing other things of racing, so I do like Supermoto, NorCal Supermoto, and Supermoto USA. That was really big back then, so I was into that, and then doing some motocross stuff as well. And then when I started working for Honda, I got moved from Northern California to Ohio. So all the racing stopped for a while.
Wow. Yeah.
And but I still had my bike. I still had a 08 CBR 1000 back then.
Okay.
And there was this series, and talk about just grassroots, like not setting up anything. I was straight motocross style, this thing. There was a series called Moto Series. Out of Nelson Ledges, Ohio.
Okay.
And they would have like Friday night just practice sessions. So you could just show up like from like 5 o'clock until it got dark and just go ride.
No kidding.
And
Wow.
so I would do that, man. And I would literally just unload my bike. I would get dressed in the back of the pickup, just sitting on the side of the tailgate and just put my gear on, and no easy up, no chair, no nothing, and go do that. Well, they were doing, I went to go do a track day there, and it rained out on Saturday, but they were racing on Sunday. And I was like, hey man, I know you don't really know me, but I know how to ride. I have my expert license with AFM. Here's all my credentials, stuff like that. Can I come ride tomorrow, which is race day?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, man, no problem. And at that point, I haven't even raced in 7 or 8 years at that point.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
And sport bikes.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, man, no problem. I still had like radiator fluid in the bike and everything else. I had to do the kickstand switch and all that stuff there on site, but I had race bodywork on it. So didn't have any points, nothing like that. So I gridded 16th on the grid. Got a really good start in the superbike race, made my way up to 5th or 6th. And then it was starting to drizzle, and the leaders started, and I made my way up to 3rd. Yeah. The leaders started messing each other up, you know, and long story short, I went in that race and just coming off the couch. So I was kind of hooked again. Yeah. But then my wife got pregnant with our first child. So then motorcycles had to go. Right. So we all know that. We've seen that movie.
Right. So don't win a race after 7 years because you might have a child.
Yeah. And so then took a break again. And then when we had Kelly, we moved down here to Tennessee. Yep. And then it was a little bit of break from that before we got back into it. So
gotcha. Wow. So had a 7-year kind of hiatus off the not street bike, but you know, asphalt racing versus dirt and being in that stuff. What was the catalyst for you to get back into it after you leaving Ohio and going to Tennessee?
Yeah, so I got another bike in 2014, CBR 1000 SP. Had that for a while. Started doing some more track days up at our local track here, which is NCM, the Corvette track in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And then just started meeting this group of friends. And especially, I'm the Honda rep here, so I'm in charge of all the Honda motorcycle dealers in Northern Alabama, Tennessee, and Kentucky, and a little bit of North Carolina. So seeing these guys at the shop, whenever, like, hey, come pit with us, hang out. And then they didn't know I raced. So they're like, dude, you're pretty fast. I'm like, yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, you guys go good too. And then, so just doing a bunch of track days with it. And then I sold the bike again. Wow. And then I was off for a little bit, and I got in 2019. Okay. I got a 2018 Fireblade, or not a Fireblade, but a CBR Double R, the SP as well. Yep. And then just started doing some track days and stuff. And I was doing some motocross races and some supercross future races, and stuff like that. So I've raced in like the Mercedes-Benz Dome and supercross. I've raced in St. Louis. I've raced here in Nashville, and things like that. But me and my buddies were sitting on turn 14 at Barber. Went there to spectate, brought the RV. We did the whole camping thing all week. Yep. And we're just sitting there, you know, having a couple beers, hanging out, and we're just looking at the lap times. And I'm like, dude, these guys are slow. Let's get back into it, you know. And some of them were looking into getting into racing as well. And I'm like, you sure you want to race, man? Because I've seen that movie. And I know how financially taxing, mentally taxing. It's not as fun. There's definitely a lot of fun and adrenaline rush and stuff, and there's a lot of core memories for sure. But track day is a lot more relaxed and not stressed. You know, if you're stressed at a track day, you're doing it wrong, man. You should just be having fun. Right. So, but yeah, that's how we ended up getting back into it. So I had to go to Wira because that's the club racing out here, and had to show all my credentials and stuff because I'm basically coming off the couch again, because it was 9 years. It was 2010 when we raced in Ohio, and then it was 2019 before I got my bike, and then 2020 is when we started racing with Wira, and had to show them like, hey man, I don't need a yellow plate. I mean, if you want, I can sandbag. we can go with that whole ceremony, but I'd rather not. So got into that. lost the senior superbike championship by 3 points to Dan Kruger.
Okay.
And again, so I had to balance. So that you talked about balance in life, I had to balance life then too, because I'm also a soccer coach for my girls.
Yep.
And so I would miss Saturday's race because I'm coaching soccer. And then the second we're done with the match, I would load everything up, head down to Barber, head down to Little Tally, or wherever, or Road Atlanta, So we always miss Saturdays racing and stuff. But we got on the box quite a few times. I think we finished third in the national championship too, and stuff like that. But
that's pretty impressive. Yeah. Doing 1 day out of 2 days, man. That is pretty impressive. And what was that commute like? Leaving on a Saturday after a soccer game, and I mean, where you are, would it like 5-6 hour drive, and getting there, setting up that night, and getting up and just going the next day.
Yeah, Barber and Little Tally are 2.5-3 hours, so not too bad.
That's pretty good.
And it depended when our match was. If it was a late afternoon game, it was a little rough setting up at night. Everybody, all the parking spots are taken up. You're in the back lot with nothing. Or if it was a morning game, it was a little bit easier and stuff. But yeah, the commute's not bad because being a regional or district manager for Honda, that's all I do is drive. So, seeing all those dealers and stuff, I can drive no problem.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, when I was in Boston, and I was doing a lot of driving. Now in Florida, it's not as bad, but like Little Tally is about a 10-hour drive from me. Same thing with about Barber and Rhode Island, I guess might be like 8-ish, give or take, but it's still a lot closer than when I was in Boston. So,
sure. Yeah.
Even Jersey from Boston was still like 6.5 hours. And everything else was just a lot further. And I think I went out to Black Hawk, which is a 30-hour drive with the trailer, and Homestead, same thing. So yeah, I've put in some long drives as well. But yeah, I don't mind the driving, but some of it is a bit long. And being in New England for me, New Hampshire Speedway was the only track, which was like 1.5 hours from where I live. So that was awesome. But then everything else was a hike. You kind of have to be committed, and like you say, that's the downside of racing is the commute and financing it.
Yeah, we were lucky. Even here in Northern California and even in Ohio, pretty lucky with tracks pretty close. Like Sears Point or Infineon or Sonoma, whatever you want to call it, that was only 1.5 hours away. Thunder Hill was 1.5 hours away. Laguna Seca was 2.5-3 hours away.
Wow.
Miller Motorsports Park, that was about 12 hours away. But in Ohio, we had Mid Ohio, which was 1.5 hours away. We had Nelson Ledges an hour away. Beaver Run or Beaver Falls, which is now Pit Race, which is gone. That was 2 hours away. So always been lucky.
Beautiful track, right? Pit.
Yeah, I loved it. So I used to ride that track before it had all the extension.
Okay.
So where turn one was, you made that left kind of down the hill where they kind of wheelie over. You make an immediate right. Turn one's almost like a chicane on the old track.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So, and then they didn't have the chicane there at the bottom. You're just wide open through there and up through there. But yeah, this old Beaver Run, it was even called Pit Race back then.
Yeah, that's a nice track. It was like, that's one of my favorite. Barbara, Pitt, Rhode Island, a lot of tracks with a lot of turns.
Yeah, for sure.
So now, okay, so you get into where you're racing one race out of a week, not one race, but 1 day out of a week. And then at some point you say, hey, I'm going to go race Motor America. Like, how did that come about? Like,
yeah, so that was the plan the entire time. So to get enough points to get my pro license, I had to go through WERA, right? Okay. So once we decided, let's go do it, we brought, some guys along, Daniel and Jay, Mike, Matt, those guys, they wanted to go racing too. So I helped them progress because they were getting their novice licenses and stuff like that. But we'd all kind of tag along together. But that was always the end goal, was to get enough expert points in WERA to be able to be eligible for Moto America.
Okay. And how many points do you roughly need to qualify?
You need to have 100 expert points within, I think, a 3 or 5 year time gap.
Okay.
And you have to have 5 to 7 successful weekends as well.
Okay.
So the race director of WIRA or whatever club organization you're with has to sign off on you too. They basically have to co-sign for you saying, hey, this is a safe rider. He knows what he's doing.
Okay.
He understands the rules, respect, that whole 9 yards. But yeah, you have to get signed off by whatever org you're with. But it's 100 expert points.
And how do they count the points? It's not necessarily by winning how you finish on in a race weekend as far as points. Is it a different accumulation?
Nope, that's it, man.
Okay.
Yep. So 25 for a win and so on and so on. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
So yeah, you can knock it out pretty quick. I mean, I did it in one season. And it was 6 rounds that I did, and I didn't have any crashes or anything like that. So it was all good and was able to knock that out pretty quick. And like I said, I almost won the senior superbike championship and I just lost it by basically 1 position after missing all those days. It was a 3-point gap between me and Dan, and that was it.
Those are the worst.
Yeah,
you're so close in the points.
Yeah,
as even if you finish in front of the guy got to finish 4 positions back. It's
yeah, and I'm giving up 25 points or potential 25 points every Saturday. I'm not there. So.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. So what year did you get into Motor America, and what was that like for you getting into it?
2022.
Okay.
21. I'm trying to look back, but I think this will be our 5th season.
Okay.
It started off and man, we bone stock street bike. So I kind of said the story here. I used to ride my street bike and go race with it. Same scenario, man. We didn't have a budget or anything like that. It is completely a bone stock suspension, still electronic suspension right off the showroom floor. It's not sprung for me. It's never been serviced. It got serviced one time just because I had a leaky fork seal. And Thermos Man, replaced the seal on it. But we took a bone stock street bike with just a flash DCU, just a little shorty Akrapovic slip-on on it, and some carbon and body work from Hustle Hard Racing, and went out there.
Wow.
And literally a stock street bike, man.
And what class is it? This would be you would be in the super stock class?
Yeah, stock 1000 class is what we started off with.
Yep.
And we had some decent success the following year. The first year, we missed out. So our first race that season was Road Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, man, the butterflies and the load in and that whole circus of Moto America is a little overwhelming. You definitely have to have a team, and you got to have help with you. It's not like a club race where you can kind of show up and do it on your own type deal.
You struggle a little bit and somebody comes up and say, hey, you need a hand.
Yep. And I didn't have the right stuff as far as like timing equipment or pit boards or anything like that. And we actually did pretty well, but we missed qualifying. So first of all, we ran out of gas in Q2. And then the timing and scoring went down for Moto America. So we had no clue where we were at.
Yep.
And back then I didn't have a name solo or anything like that either. I was literally just pulling the trigger, on my handlebar as I went by the start finish line. So that, of course, wasn't very accurate, but it gave me an idea.
Yep.
And then we'd study the sheets and stuff. But long story short, we missed our first event by 0.6 of a second.
Wow.
So you can't even say 0.6 and 0.6.
Yeah.
And that's how quick it was from us being the first ones on the outside looking in.
Yep.
I think Road Atlanta's grid capacity is like 39.
Okay.
And we qualified 28th.
Wow.
And 27 made the grid. So, and stock 1000, there's always 45 to 55 riders trying to qualify. So we basically qualified, 2/3 up and still didn't make the show, man. And talk about just devastation, because you have that full year of build up and your plan and your expectations and the training and the sacrifice and the financial side of it and the planning. Just so much goes into it. And then to lose out by 0.6, you're just like, oh my gosh, dude, I cried like a baby. I was like, what did I do? Why did I do this? I told you racing sucks. So
listen, I've had a lot of them long rides home by myself. I had nobody to talk to. So you had a bad time. But at what point did you, I mean, I haven't raced in Motor America, but like, having bad races and, when you have to drive like 8 hours, 6 hours into it, I start to see the good that came out of the weekend. Mm-hmm. How long did it take for you to look at the positives, right? Because they're always positive.
Tons of positives. I was disappointed. I was sad for, the process, because there's a lot of people that sacrifice a lot of stuff to help you out, right? So I was sad for them more than I was for myself. Mm-hmm. But back then, so Moto America changed the schedule up, but back then you only raced one time a weekend. So for us, we only raced on Saturday. It's still the same expense, the same everything, but we only had one race a weekend.
Yeah.
So we just hung out and partied and had a good time and watched all the races, and we're just having a great time the rest of the weekend. But I told myself, never again. We will never, ever be in that situation again to where we don't qualify. I promise you, we will absolutely qualify for every single race that we get into then. And since then, that's exactly what's happened. The next race at Barber that same year, I think we qualified 24th.
Okay.
Same bike, same everything. Nothing changed.
And was it anything specific that, I mean, you said nothing changed, but was there anything specific that you look to say, was it just butterflies that kind of might have caused you to miss out on that first time? I mean, I think in general, and for a lot of us, the first time we're not usually successful. There's always a little bit of adversity. So what was that like?
Yeah. There's butterflies even now. I can line up at a local county fair race at a motocross track, and I'm like, what am I doing here? Like the nerves and the anxiety is like it's not overwhelming, but it's definitely there for sure. What was your question again? Sorry.
Sorry. How is there one thing you can look back on and say what it was that, was it just the nerves that caused you to finish where you finished, or was it just the overall of it, just the new experience, right, at that level, which is overwhelming. I mean, it's overwhelming at any level when you're the first time you get into it.
Yeah, 100%. Lack of preparation on what exactly we needed and not knowing exactly what to expect. We jumped right into the lion's den. I was ready. Physically, I was ready. Mentally, I was ready. I did get a ton of arm pump because that's Road Atlanta for you for sure. But that wasn't necessarily hold me back on top speed and trying to create a lap. I just didn't know what I needed to be doing. It was only my second time ever being at Road Atlanta. My first time was 8 years ago. I did a track day with STT there in 2014.
Okay.
And never been back since. So to try to qualify for a national, first time out, track I'd never been to, and just really outgunned, being on that double R Honda thing has a ton of mid range. It tries to spit you off in the mid range, but there's no top end. It just falls on its face. So we're down quite a bit of top speed. But it was just not knowing where I was at. If I knew I had to find 6/10, I would have found 6/10 for sure. So that's just me. And since then, obviously next race at Barber, we had a name solo. I knew where my lap times were. I knew where it needed to be. We'd come in and we would analyze the sector times. We would overlay that with other guys' sector times and kind of see where we stood and where I can improve. I would watch other races too and see where the superbike guys breaking. Now I'm not going as fast as the superbike guys, but where the super sport guys breaking. Like at Barber, the super sport guys are doing 28s, well, I can do 29s. So if they're breaking there, I can break there. And then we end up getting down in the 28s too. If a super sport bike can do it, I can do it. Right. So that's where we kind of just did it. It was just lack of prep.
Right.
Just not knowing. And then we learned from that. And then since then, I don't care where we go, we're going to qualify.
Gotcha. And now, you said that you didn't do, outside of a slip-on, you didn't do much mods. And even when did you start modding the bike, or you don't mod the bike as much? And, what did you start changing suspension or doing anything at some point? Still stock suspension?
Stock bike, man. That was our Cinderella story. And working for Honda, I wanted to kind of show how good a bike was right off the showroom floor. Yep. Literally, Rexy, the most expensive thing on the bike was the carbon and bodywork.
Oh, no kidding.
That was the most expensive thing on the bike. So the slip-on exhaust, we got help on. And then the Flash DCU was from Paul Kinsberg, who's a Honda CBR guru who knows those things inside and out. But that's it, man. We never changed the spring. We never changed anything.
Wow. Let me ask, have you only raced Hondas?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I used to work in a multi-line dealership back in the day, and I've ridden Suzuki's and raced Suzuki's off-road, but on-road, it's only been Honda.
Wow. And so, working with Honda and racing a Honda, has Honda and USA or anything say, hey, we'll help you with your program or anything?
Yeah, for sure. We get some help from those guys. It's kind of a gift and a curse because I can't go out and get traditional sponsors. Like I can't go to my local dealer and say, hey, do you want to sponsor me in Moto America racing and stuff like that? Because there'd be a conflict of interest. So we do get some help with Pro Chemicals and the guys, the canopies and stuff like that. We definitely get some help, time off, things like that. We definitely get some help out. But Moto America recognized it for the longest time. Jeff May was there and he was doing a good job. He was the only Honda basically, and Ashton was on a Honda for a season or two, but it wasn't really getting noticed. But we were getting a ton of attention. We were being interviewed every single race weekend. Moto America Live Plus was interviewing us, from Michael Hill to Jamie Howe. I mean, you name it. We're finishing, 22nd and still getting mentioned on the broadcast because we're on a Honda.
Right.
And that's kind of where Honda's at now, is I think from our efforts that we put into it and our appearance and our willing to activate and engage with the fans and just talk to them and just bring joy, made such a big difference. And it takes a lot of stress off of me going out and talking to the fans and, give them a poster or a knee puck or some Honda swag. That was such a big deal that I think it made an impact. And look where Honda's at now. I mean, Moto America's kind of screwed that up a little bit, but with Talk 1000. But
I was going to ask about that. We can touch on that a little bit for the new changes for this year and what that's looking like for you. So you went racing with you and some other guys today. Are they still in Moto America racing? And what's your crew like when you go to the track and stuff like that? Is it family and friends, or is it those same guys that come in and help you support every round?
No, just family and friends, man. It's my buddy Robert Langford and Travis and Jay and Daniel Shoemake. Those guys have really kind of helped out and been part of the journey since day one. We're the guys sitting up on the hill just having a good time being spectators and say, hey, we can go do that type deal. And then just put your money where your mouth is. And man, Lord knows you pay a lot of money to be a class.
I looked at the fees for the lightweight class, and I was like, yeah, it's a big difference than club racing. The fees that you got to put up to get into a race weekend, but it's also pretty cool to be able to race at one of the highest level in the U.S. And be competitive and stuff like that. So, do any of the folks in the paddock give you a flack for not doing any mods on the bike since it's a deliberate thing?
No, it actually worked out pretty well because some people wanted to see me succeed. They see where the potential's at and where the lap times are at. I mean, at Road Atlanta, for example, we were down 18 miles an hour, just going straight.
Yeah.
And I'm 6'3" and some change and 215 pounds before I wrap a kangaroo around me.
Wow.
So it's a lot of drag and it's a lot of meat and metal to kind of get accelerated and slow down. So I always just make it up on the brakes. And that's why I kind of compared myself to the more of the top speeds and where the super sports guys are breaking at, because we're in that middle ground. We're almost in no man's land. We're not as fast as the BMWs or, a built anything because we had a stock street bike. I mean, my bike put out 178 horsepower to the rear tire. That was it.
Right. So, and can you change like the front master cylinder on those bikes, or is it that's all stock? And if you were to go with like a better master cylinder than the stock, would that improve your time significantly enough to maybe change your mind a little bit on
So that is the one thing we did change. We changed the master cylinder. We put a Brembo up there because on the stock double R, it's a mix match. So the master cylinder stock was like a Nissan master cylinder, and then with rubber lines, and it's ABS and everything, of course, with Brembo calipers. Oh, wow. So I swapped all that out. I put Galfer Superbike lines on it with the Brembo Cortacosa 1920, whatever it was. And that was the only performance modification that we did to it. We deleted the ABS. All the ABS plumbing is still there. All I did was just pull the fuse. So, so all the weight, all the plumbing, everything is still there. Just pull the fuse and just direct line straight to the calipers. So definitely a disadvantage. But to answer your question, no flack from it. People wanted to see like where I could be without it. So as you know, Hayden Gillum ended up jumping on a Honda. And I ended up knowing those guys pretty well over at the Real Steel team. And the bikes were changing from 23s because we didn't have a 2024 model year. Right. So they were riding the 23s. And then for 25, the bike was changing to the bike you currently have now. So like, hey, we're getting the new bikes. We have all these old bikes. They're basically like show bikes at that point. They're just on display at local dealerships or in a museum somewhere or whatever. And Jerry Nickel, the owner of that, and Hayden Gillum said, hey, you can ride one of our bikes. We want you to ride one of our bikes for next year. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, let me see what I could put together here because it's still super expensive, right? Thanks for the bike. Yeah. That's one part of the puzzle. Let me see if I can figure out the other parts of the puzzle. And got support from Hustle Hard and 4SR Racing and John Cook, the dude from, the old Track Day Winners guy. Yeah. Helped us out financially and stuff. And we were able to put a program together and do the full season. So.
And this is, you're talking about for 26?
For 25.
Oh, 25. Okay. So
how did 26, we're still working on it.
Gotcha. How did you do last year?
Good considering. So again, first time on a Fireblade.
Yep.
Never rode the bike before. Wasn't set up for me or anything like that. We actually get the bike right from Hayden. He's putting on a slip-on exhaust from that thing. And it still has his numbers on it and everything. and we take it right from the Honda racing truck straight to tech. And I'm like ripping off his decals as we're going through tech.
Love it.
And never even seen the bike before and couldn't figure out how to turn on the rain light because you got to make sure that's working through tech and stuff. And I'm calling Mark. I'm like, hey, man, how you make all this stuff work? And then get it. And just no seat time. Never seen the bike until that Thursday. And out the thing is, again, it was a show bike. It wasn't set up for anything. And it's pissing brake fluid out of the master cylinder.
Oh, gosh.
So I got a total of 4 laps of practice before I had to go to quali. Never ridden the bike in my life. And so, 4 laps around there. So maybe like 8 minutes of seat time.
Yeah.
And again, coming off the couch because I did one track day right after Barber, Motor America round, but it was raining. So we were out there and I was on my bike. I didn't ride their bike. I was on my bike. I did one session and it was just nonstop rain. So we didn't do anything else. So basically coming off the couch, got about 8 minutes of seat time on a bike I'd never ridden. And we put all girls 17th on the grid. Wow. So yeah, it was good. But then we had challenges with that. Right at the first race, you can see it on Moto America that the bike overheated on the grid. It was supposed to be a quick start. And for whatever reason, Moto America they just kept us there forever.
Right.
And I've never had a bike overheat on me like that. And they pull all the fans and everything else off of it to save weight, which I need weight savings for sure. And the thing just overheated. But unfortunate for Taylor Knapp and Bryce Cornbow, they wadded themselves up on the first lap, which created a red flag. And I'm just walking through the crowd and I'm pissed off. I'm coming over the bridge, the pedestrian bridge, and people are trying to talk to me. And I just slam my visor down like, nope, beelining back. All this effort again, right? The Road Atlanta curse is happening. Didn't even get to do a lap. I got 4 laps of practice, whatever. And bike overheated. But anyways, we got the bike going again and I ended up finishing 17th in the race. Got a horrible start. I'm like, man, this thing just overheated. I don't know what's going on with it. It's going to blow up on me. And didn't. Got 17th in that. But the next day on Sunday, I must have hit a button or something happened, whatever. But the bike wasn't going. It was doing like 152 miles an hour down the back straightaway. And I'm like, what? When it overheated, it must have like did a gasket or
right.
warped something. And she's just losing compression. I'm not sure. So they take it back to the race shop, and Mark throws it up on the dyno, but he's pulling all the data because they have all their data on it.
Right.
And he's like, dude, you're like in mode 7. I'm like, what's mode 7? He's like, it's slower than a rain mode. And I'm like, I didn't touch any buttons, man. I don't know. I don't even know how to use these buttons on this thing.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
So that was frustrating too, because we had a ton of Honda brass there as well. So we had a whole full hospitality set up for him on the hill.
Yeah.
In 10A. The president of Kunamoto factory, where Fireblades and all that stuff from Japan was there. There's a bunch of Japanese dignitary. My bosses were there because Honda's headquarters are in Alpharetta, Georgia. So they're just 45 minutes down the road,
Yeah.
And so all the brass was there, and they see their riding, they see their guy fighting for top 15s the day before, and then barely hanging on for top 30 because I'm only doing 150 miles an hour down the back straightaway.
Oh man, that has to be tough in a situation like that. Not necessarily, things happen in a racetrack, so you just learn to adjust to the mechanicals and stuff. But when you do have VIPs around and stuff like that, and all that, and that puts an extra layer on that. So how do you go through that? And how do you walk through those situations?
Well, it's called racing, not winning. So the results are going to be the results, and there's going to always be a ton of adversity. But as long as you learn from it, as long as you have fun, and just kind of remember that you're there to entertain. I'm 45 years old. Nobody there is there to sign me up on a factory ride. Right. You could be half those guys, and the top 10 aren't getting signed for factory rides, right? So I just try to have fun with it and stuff like that. So even during that adversity, I still went off into the fan loop and did a burnout for the fans and did a wheelie and all that other stuff.
Nice.
And just had a good time with it and try to make the best experience possible. Because that's all it's ultimately about, is having a good experience. And racing's an entertainment sport, man. We're all just paying to be clowns in the circus. So you got to have fun with it for sure.
You definitely do, and some of us take it a little bit too serious. What would you say to folks that are looking to try to do a race? Well, I guess let's talk about the changes for Motor America, and feel free to express as much as you feel like, as far as how you're looking at this new season coming in. Because my question initially was going to say, for folks trying to get into it, what would you say to them? But after the changes and stuff like that, how do you feel about this upcoming season?
It's very delicate because Stock 1000 had a ton of entries, a ton of interest, and it was like a really good stepping stone for a club racer on a big bike to make it, to have the opportunity at least, right? Most of those guys don't make it. Just because you're good at club race and stuff like that, it's still extremely, extremely difficult to qualify for a national. So by taking away that class and combining Superbike class, it takes away from the OEM's exposure. Because you're not going to have those guys on the R1. Everything's going to be Ducatis or BMWs and Hondas, right? There's not going to be a Cowie back there. There's only a couple Yamahas and stuff like that. So it makes it more challenging to get into that. Now, the other side of it, you can go the route of like hooligans racing, which there's a lot more OEMs in there, but Moto America just announced, they sent us a letter saying that they're not paying a purse for hooligans.
Oh, wow.
So you're racing for free. You're paying all these entry fees, everything else. There's not a bunch of bodywork on that to try to get exposure for your sponsor and everything else. So now the hooligans race is basically glorified club racing.
Oh, that's yeah.
There's really not a purse there. The 600, the super sport stuff is a little bit interesting too, because they're all balanced bikes. They all have ECUs that are regulated to try to be similar horsepower and stuff, because they're all basically mini super bikes now, being the V2 and the R9 and Gixxer 750s. Those were super bikes back in the day. So then trying to dumb them down and stuff. So it's difficult to get into now. The cheapest route would probably be do hooligans, because there's more opportunity there, but those hooligans are not. Most of them aren't even, like the HD is not even legal to the rules. So, that Pan America looks nothing like what what it really is in the real world and stuff. Right. So there's not even a correlation there. So I could see why OEMs are not participating in that, because what they're racing doesn't even look what it looks like on a showroom floor, where an R1 or CBR or Gixxer looks like what you could buy on the showroom floor, right? So it's interesting in that aspect of it. No one's going bagger racing. Those things are, $250,000 super bikes. They're MotoGP baggers. I mean,
right. Well, I mean, they're going to be at least in 6 rounds of MotoGP. I don't know if it's the same. I assume they're going to have their own bikes in MotoGP in series versus the US series, which is unfortunate that there's not more people in the bagger series, because it sounds like from talking to some of the guys, like we have Reese on the show and from Attack Yamaha and Lewis as well, and they talk about the draw that the baggers have brought to the series as far as the fan base and stuff like that. So but again, not everyone has $1 million to throw at a bike.
That's cheap. $1 million is cheap, man. I mean, even the program we're looking to put together, it's cheap. It's still $100,000 to do like the whole season.
Right.
So, and that's just like on the privateer effort, which is like decent support. But if you do nothing, if you don't pay your crew, you do nothing like that, it's $6,000 to $7,000 a weekend.
Right.
To race Moto America.
Yeah.
Where you can get away with doing a club race for like $1,500, $2,000.
Correct.
Right. So, because you can run the same tires over, especially at Little Tally. You're not be throwing tires at Little Tally.
Yeah. I race a couple of RC 390s, so I can keep a tire for a few rounds.
Yeah.
Easily. So it's a lot different. So for you, are you more in favor of the way things are? Do you think it's going to give you more exposure, or is it just a consolidation of the where the big bike racing is heading to?
Yeah, I don't know. It's the consolidation's a weird one, right? Because there's all these funky classes again with twins and hooligans and baggers and stuff like that. The baggers does draw a big crowd. I don't know if hooligans does or not, but it definitely fills the paddock up. But I don't think people are there necessarily to see the hooligans. Mm-hmm. But baggers 100%. They've done a great job with that. It's really competitive. Nobody breaks away with it. But losing stock 1000, I mean, there's another 50 entrants. Again, that was financially good for Moto America. That's no longer there. I've already had a Superbike license or Superbike Cup license. We raced Superbike Cup last season in 2025. So for me, there was no advantage. I could go to a Superbike race anytime I wanted to already and attempt to qualify, even at a round that wasn't stock 1000. If I wanted to go Laguna Seca or the Ridge and go, or New Jersey and go race Superbike, I can go race Superbike. Right. So there was no advantage for me on that side of it. So where the disadvantage is all those other guys that solely race stock 1000, because it's double the expenses, right? You only get one extra set of tires for Superbike Cup.
Wow.
So you still have to kind of manage your tires. Now you have extra time on track, extra fuel. Every time you touch the track, if you just do a practice session or a quali session or even a race, every time you touch the track, it's $650. Wow. So go ahead and add 2 more Superbike races to that. Now you're talking, another couple grand.
Yeah.
So a lot of stock 1000 guys can do it. And quite frankly, a lot of stock 1000 guys can't qualify for a Superbike race anyways, because you go from 108% for Superbike, which are doing about 2.5 to 3 seconds a lap faster than the stock 1000 guys. So let's just say they're doing 3 seconds a lap faster, but now their qualifying time is 108, where in stock 1000 they're going 3 seconds slower than Superbike, and their gap is 110. So as long as you're within 110 on stock 1000, you're in the show. So you have to find a stock 1000 guy has to find 5 or 6 seconds a lap to be able to even try to qualify for a Superbike race.
Oh yeah, that's pretty wild. And you would think how many riders what's the max riders on a superbike grid? Because I mean, you mentioned 50 guys could try to qualify and 28's making it, or 27 is making it. And those fees are still going to Motor America, and these guys are not getting to race. Where now you may only get those 30 guys, and there's no additional fees coming in.
Yeah, so financially it doesn't make sense too. I know the OEMs don't like it because the stock 1000 class is closer to what they can sell, right? Because you're going to have all the privateers buying bikes based off contingency money. Honda had huge purses the last 2 seasons with contingency money. It was $10,000 for a stock 1000 win.
Wow.
And we paid all the way back to 10th. And that's on top of whatever purse you got from Moto America and your sponsors and things like that. And then when you talk to Superbike, it was 25 grand for a win, for a Superbike win. And then it trickled all the way down to 10th as well. So you could finish 8th in a Superbike race and still make a couple grand, just off the Honda contingency.
Right.
But yeah, they lose all that. And the grid capacity kind of changes too. So Road Atlanta is like 39. I think Barber is 34.
Okay.
Only make the grid. So there's a cap, right? So if 34 guys are fast enough to make the Superbike grid at Barber, there'll be 34 guys on that grid. And if they have to send guys home, they go home. And they actually changed it because the capacity was getting so big that if you weren't fast enough, if you didn't make 110% on Friday, you didn't even get a chance to qualify again on Saturday. Wow. They cut the fat right away, man. So you have to go.
And you've been there, you said there's only one time that you didn't make the cut. What is it like for those guys that try? Do they come back? I mean, I say guys generically or generalizing, but obviously women can also try to qualify as well. What is it like for those folks that struggle to don't make the qualifying times? Do they come back? Do you find that they come back? Do you find some of these folks are like one and done? They trying once and then they're like, they don't get there and they just kind of say, all right, that's it.
Yeah, I think it's all personalized and whatever, deals they have in life. Because some of these guys invest a ton of money. Yeah. And again, we didn't invest anything. The most expensive thing was some carbon and body work. So, but even the weekends are still expensive. Yeah. So you guys have even track day guys, right? They chase the dragon and they go down this rabbit hole on, oh man, if I could just adjust my clickers, this and that, I can find 4 seconds, and stuff like that. So you see guys legit get bummed out and they're ones and dones, and some guys kind of keep coming back over and over, and you're like, man, why are you still racing? But it's just part of it, racing's hard, man.
No, listen, man. I have not raced that level. I've raced club race, and I had a 4-year struggle, and there's a lot of talking myself off the ledge, driving home from the track, from club racing, and because it's. It's I don't know. I mean, I think like any individual sport is what it's like. You know what I mean? Where you're just out there on your own, and at least with a tennis racket or maybe a basketball is an individual sport, but tennis racket or golf, it may be a little bit different because it's not the same speed per se. But it's I had to I was like, I can do better than this. I had to face myself a lot of times in that mirror and sort it out, and we talk about the adversity, but that's the beautiful thing about it though. If you can stick it out and you get past it and you start to find success, like you feel like you can do anything.
Yeah, and having fun with it is probably the biggest advice I can give anybody with it, because again, it's called racing, not winning. Yeah. And there's only one winner, and there's 40 dudes on that grid or 35 dudes on that grid. Only one of them's gonna take home the trophy, and all the glory and stuff like that. But you're only as good as your last race anyway. So you win on Saturday, and then you're 11th on Sunday. No one remembers you won on Saturday. They only remember that on Sunday. So the sport's cruel that way too, to where you can win a championship and not even have a ride the next year.
Yeah,
like Andrew Lee or the super sport guy, I forget his name, Xavi Flores. Won the championship. And Look, even Josh Herron this year, you know, he got booted out his seat and he almost won the championship last year. Now he's riding a hooligan.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's pretty wild. You know, and you know, what do you think about the state of motorcycle racing in the U.S.? I mean, you've been racing off and on for over 20 years. Been fortunate enough to be in Motor America the last 5 years. You know, I've had other folks on that talk about what it was like in the 90s and the early days where there was so much money in there, like could get $100,000 plus. You know, you know, and you're also in the community as well as you know, working for Honda and stuff like that. So you're kind of always looking at numbers and seeing what folks are doing on the consumer side, not even on the race side. So you know how, you know, and I say all that to say, I think, you know, for me doing this podcast, one of the reasons I do it is to kind of bring awareness to racing and stuff like that. Because for me, I didn't know about it till my buddy told me about it, and I was already in my 40s, and I didn't know that was a thing you can go do. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. And I think and I've talked to other people that's in that similar situation. So, you know, how does it look to you? Do you see the improvements, or what improvements do you think that we should be looking at to try to improve on and stuff like that? How has it been for you the last 20 years in the motorcycle community, racing, and also just on the consumer side?
Yeah, it's different for sure. So back in the day, I think sport bikes were way bigger. We didn't have, you know, live TV back then. Everything was pre-recorded. It was on Speed TV, and you watched it at a different time and stuff like that. It was barely ever shown live, but the fan base was there. It was crazy. I mean, like I said, back in the day, we'd go on these motorcycle rides that have 60 to 200 riders just show up at a Carl's Jr.
Yeah.
So I see some of that now still in Nashville and stuff like that, but nowhere near as big. The exposure that Moto America is doing is pretty good. With the their social media presence, their YouTube channel, Moto America Live Plus is really awesome. You know, once the season gets started, you better believe I'll have that thing on from when it starts till when it ends. And Roger Lee and Jamie do a fantastic job, and so does Michael Hill and the guys. It's good content. What they have to figure out is how to get more money into the program, right? Like I said, they're not paying hooligans this season. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. How do we get more outside sponsorship into the series to get better exposure? Because there isn't any. There's not a single athlete out there that has an energy drink deal.
Right.
Where's the Monster athlete? Where's the Red Bull athlete? Where's those guys that every other sport has besides a Moto America racer? The dude that's not even qualifying for the night show in Supercross has a Monster Energy logo on his helmet, you know, and he's not even making the night show. Right. We, for some reason, there's a big disconnect there that I can't put a thumb to, but maybe some of it's the rules, again, which almost kind of killed the sport when DMG took it over, because AMA was really taking off and it was doing really well. And then DMG just kind of crushed it. Right. That's where you lost all the manufacturers and all the money went away.
Right.
Things like that. And the money is not quite there, even from the manufacturer side of it. You better believe manufacturers have money. Look at the Supercross side of it.
Right.
I mean, it's insane. But yeah, the Moto America just needs to figure out how to get more sponsorship dollars in there that makes sense. It can't just be Mission Tortillas, you know. They just can't hang their hat on some of these outside sponsors that some of these riders bring in, and the next thing you know, they're the sponsor of a class, and then their whole budget's gone, right? And then you don't, like a Steel Commander, you don't see those guys around anymore. They came in with, I think, Gabe De Silva. They came in with Gabe, and next thing you know, I think they're with the Real Steel guys, and they were sponsoring the Stock 1000 class or whatever, and now they don't exist. Right. So that's where they gotta figure out. But I think the sport as a whole is growing. If you go to the races, the fans are fantastic. The hillsides are packed. You go to Road America. If you've ever been to Road America, that place is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It's Barber on steroids.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna try it out there this year.
all 4.5 miles of that track, the fans are just lined across, and they were sold out of camping there, which I don't know how, because it's huge. It's absolutely huge. And the fans are lined all the way across. Barber was packed. Coda's a little weird one where there's not quite as many fans there. But it's still a good turnout. But everywhere we go, Road Atlanta is packed, Barber's packed, Road America is packed. So the fans are showing up for sure, and I think they're getting record attendance. So they're doing something right, but we have to figure out how to get the money in there, because it's not sustainable. We just can't have privateers scratching off bucket list and hoping that's going to feed the sport, because it's definitely not, because the manufacturers aren't invested into it, because there's no one to invest into it. We're not going to take a Twins Cup guy and turn him into a superbike rider. We're not going to take a hooligans guy and turn him into a superbike rider. So there has to be more stepping stones, and there has to be better communication and better collaboration between the OEMs and Moto America, so that it makes sense. And that's where that money is going to come from. If you get a factory Honda out there, there'll be money coming behind you. Get factory Cowie back there. Guess who's coming back? Monster Energy. If factory Cowie's out there, Monster Energy's coming back. Like you'll see that stuff. But you get support from Mission Tortillas and progressives on everything right now as well.
Right.
So yeah, they're on both Hondas. They're on Ashton's team, Hayden's team. The Yamaha team is progressive. So
we got to start inviting like the tech folks to come out and watch some races and stuff like that. I mean, we see them at the UFC fights and all these stuff. So we got to get some of these tech guys to come out and check out the motorcycle racing, and maybe they might start throwing some of that tech money at Motor America.
100%. Yeah, like a ChatGPT or Perplexity or a Grok or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Get those AI money out there. But yeah, it just has to be some sort of outside money. But I think it really stems down to is getting the OEMs back involved. You get the OEMs back involved, that money's going to come, because the OEMs don't want to front that full bill, but they can show the package, right? And then you're going to get that cross collaboration, because the OEMs are going to want to show their rider doing well, showing their bikes doing well. If they're doing that, the sponsorships are want to tag on top of that. But at this point, you basically have, out of the entire paddock, you have 5 paid riders, 6 paid riders. That's it.
Yeah. It's pretty tough. I mean, I've heard some stories of some of the riders, and what they have to go through, and some of the money that they have to raise and stuff like that to be able to go ride. And it's such a tough thing, because it's kind of it's like you got the skills, you just don't have the money. It's like that. It's one thing to say you're just not quick enough. It's another thing when it's just like it's out of not necessarily out of your hands, but it has nothing to do with what you have going on. It's just the funding kind of thing.
Yeah, the funds are expensive. Anything racing's expensive, right? Even when I was a speed skater, that's expensive. Yeah. Like just the boot, the shoe part of it, we call it a boot, is a full carbon fiber with microfiber materials customized to our foot and everything. And those things are $2,500 just for the boot. And then when you add the chassis, the plate to it, that's another $500 or $600. Every one of those wheels is $10. And then the ceramic bearings and stuff like that. And then of course you have entry fees and anything racing is expensive, man. It always has been.
It is, and it's the ones that with the money usually holding the trophies, which it was cool to see Pramac, win it, because I think they were like the first satellite team to win a championship, because it's always been like factory team or something like that.
Yeah.
So before I let you go, I really appreciate it already, because we're kind of over time a little bit, man. It's been fun talking to you. What do you think of what's going to happen in MotoGP with this new season coming on board? Do you have like a favorite? I mean, you're a Honda guy, so you're rooting for Honda all the way. Does that mean you're not a Marquez guy since he came to Ducati?
No, I'm a Marquez guy for sure. The guy's just an animal. He's a beast. I know the ailments I have, from pinched nerves to separated shoulders to whatever, and he's has his arm like fallen off before. He's out there still kicking butt. So I don't know. Some of those guys do it. But again, they have the resources and the funding and the best doctors in the world to kind of, put Humpty Dumpty back together again. So I think it's going to be a really interesting year with the Yamaha and see if they can get that thing not to overheat and perform better. And I'm really curious to see how Top Rock does. I think you see where like he's running his mouth about something. I don't think he's running his mouth. I think he has the expectation. Like he wants to go out there and do well. Right. And then have the opportunity. But yeah, I think it's going to be a Marquez show again. I don't know how. I know that a couple of the Ducati guys are going to be on the 26s. The VR46 guy got a bike, and but Alex has a 2026.
Yeah.
So we'll see how they just kind of get along with it. I think it's going to be wash and repeat of this year again. We'll see if Jorge Martin is healthy and ready to rock and roll. I know he got cleared to ride.
Yeah.
But who was on the Aprilia that really came strong at the end of the year? Mazecki. Yeah. So I think he's going to be fired up and ready to rock and roll this year too. But I'm more interested in next year when the bike gets smaller, all the aero goes away, and everything else. So.
Yeah, I'm excited for next year as well. Just curious to see. I don't know. We'll see if it was like, I think it was 07 when they did that. It went down to the 800cc back, and I think it was 07. It'll be interesting to see how much closer the racing becomes in 2000 and 2007. But this year, it's. I don't know if it's going to be Ducati all the way because we'll see how much difference the 26 is from the 25.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't have to say it to you, like the first round doesn't really tell you give you the full picture of what's going on. So it's like by race 5 or 6 or something like that, we'll start to see it settle down and see who have it figured out quickly.
Yeah, and we have to see if Ducati catered that bike more to Marquez even further, right? Because that was the big thing. They catered that thing to 25, and Bagnaia just fell on his face. Like he was. Yeah. That was his baby. I mean, he was dominating with that thing. And then they kind of tweaked it a little bit to Mark, and then he couldn't ride it. And I think it's going to get even more tweaked to Mark. And I don't know, man. We'll see. That's why it's called racing, not winning.
What are your thoughts about that? I mean, you've been a Honda guy for a while. I personally think like Ducati's shooting themselves in the foot because here's a guy that gave you 2 titles that you haven't had since, I don't know. I forget when Casey did it. It was in 07 or whatever the case may be. And granted, Mark has a lot of titles, but like, this guy gave you 2 titles back to back, and regardless of who was on that bike, to me, Ducati would have won the title, right? Yeah. And so it was one of those things like, how you treating this guy that gave you 2 titles back to back? Why are you treating this guy so bad? To me, what are your thoughts on that? Should Ducati have been a little bit more loyal to Pecco, because it doesn't seem like or is it just business?
It's 100% nail on the head. Just business, man. It's business and politics. That's all it is. There's, like I said, the sport is cruel. Doesn't matter if you're MotoGP or Moto America, man. You could be champion one year and not even have to ride the next. So, man, the sport does not care. They just care about performance. And if you're performing, you'll be okay. Now, there are fan favorites like a Jack Miller and some of these other guys that just kind of linger around the back, but they have so much charisma that they get a ride, which is taking up opportunity for some other guys that can kind of get up there and challenge. But they're just they're a commercial like blessing. The companies want that guy because they're going to go out and activate with the fans and stuff like that. And that's kind of what we do too.
Right.
We're a top 15, top 20 team. We're never going to win a race, not in Moto America, but we're a fan favorite. Everybody, we're on your podcast. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the key is you got to be a well-run package, but long story short, they do not care, man. The sport doesn't care. The companies don't care. Either win or we'll find somebody that does.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I guess as a fan, I get it and I fully understand. I just don't like it.
Yeah, and even if you win, man, it's not guaranteed.
No, it's not, man. Well, hi, Rev Trev, man. I thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. I mean, we're almost an hour and 20 minutes, and I could probably talk another hour and 20 minutes with you, man.
Easy to do.
I'm pretty impressed with what you're doing. I mean, be at 45 and racing in the Motor America, there's a lot of people that would like to, including myself. I hope to one day to at least get one shot. So, man, you're doing it for all of us, man. I really appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure. It flies by, man. So I definitely enjoyed it, man. And yeah, I hope to do it again sometime.
Awesome, man. Thank you. Peace.
Thanks.